Welcome back, baseball fans, to another Eliminating the Expos video. Their broadcast was not on YouTube. Didn't get enough ratings, so they it was closed circuit. They lost out to the Ohio players, so they finished the year 14-21. This would have been their second, third, fourth, fifth years of existence. Still not much happening for this team. They still have Bob Bailey, Rusty Staub, and Ron Fairley. Bailey, 10 homer and 28 RBI. He's, that 70 card was outstanding. Rusty Staub only at 246. Ron Fairley disappointed, hitting 198. Yes, folks, the home run category, that's not a misprint. He did not hit a home run this year, Ron Fairley, in 35 games. And that will short circuit your season because he batted third for most of the season. Some other players of note, that Mac Jones 1970 card is pretty good. Boots Day's 71 card is a good leadoff hitter, but it didn't do well. They'll bring the card back next year. Not much to say about this offense. Pitching, Mike Marshall, the lone all-star, was untouched. 14 2/3 innings. He gave up 5 singles and 5 walks. Nobody scored against him. Baylor Moore, lefty starter, did a nice job. He disappeared for a bit in the 70s, but he did a nice job while still here with the Expos. Steve Rogers, rookie. 3.39 ERA, a .135 WHIP is a little high, but it's a rookie card, and it happens to be imbalanced, where it's weird. He gives up hits to righties, but not to lefties. Steve Franco did a decent job in the 4 spot. Bill Stoneman had a lot of bad luck, but he also got knocked around a bit. Did throw 4 complete games. Not much else to say about the rest of that bullpen, which was pretty shoddy. Just a really disappointing year for the Expos team, who, well, frankly, they're just not supposed to do much during this time. So let's take a look at these Expos. You see the green is for the Green Mountains of Vermont, and we relocated them across the Canadian border, 2 hours south to Lake Champlain, just to have some fun with expansion. We're going to pull out their 8 players from 1970 and see what their plan is moving forward. I think they're going to be in good shape, though. I mean, I don't see anything major leaving from 1970 that they can't find something comparable moving forward. There's some familiar names, but they'll all have better years. So these 8 guys go away, and let's see what they're going to do with the hitters and pitchers. They are going to bring back 6 of each. So here's Ron Fairley. Did not hit a home run, and that is just not going to happen. Had 17 of them in 500 plate appearances, so maybe next year he hits a ton of them. McKinney's an infielder, Martin's a catcher, Boots Day's an outfielder, O'Brien is a utility player, and Gary Sullivan is a utility infielder. Well, yeah. If you were starting a team with this offense, you would not be going very far, would you? Fairley's the best hitter here, and that's about that. Pitching-wise, more promise. They got 6 guys, and actually, what's really kind of cool about this pitching is that they have 4 guys to hang their rotation around. So these 4 guys, Stoneman's card is still pretty good, as you can see. And Rogers, that's his 73 rookie, .54. Can't pitch on 3 days rest, but we can get him in as many games as possible. Baylor Moore, this guy disappeared for a bit in baseball, but he had a nice card in 72. And Ranko is very capable. So the starting pitching is looking good. Tom Walker is a decent reliever, 288, and of course Mike Marshall. So the pitching is in better hands. Offense has to be looked at. There's some familiar names here. Let's see what the Expos do with those 1970 players. Okay, folks, let's take a look at some Expo players. The first one will be Bob Bailey, and he had a whale of a 1970. In fact, there was such a thing as a mid-season trades in my league. The Expos phone would have rang off the hook, but we don't do that sort of thing. And frankly, he will continue with the Expos. 1970, he had 1,000 OPS. Who's going to remember that? I can name you some baseball players who never had 1,000 OPS. Carlton Fisk never had 1,000 OPS. Johnny Bench? I don't think Johnny Bench ever had 1,000. Let me just check really quick. Yeah, we're gonna have some little fun here, folks. Let's just check if Johnny had 1,000. like 970. I mean, he never had 1,000. Granted that he's a catcher. But that just kind of shows you how special Bob Bailey was in 1970. 1,000 OPS. There it is, right there, folks. So he's coming back. He's got 4 more years with the Expos. No brainer. Bob Bailey coming back to the Expos. Column 1 as a keeper, $10,000 or tokens or units or whatever. The next guy is a catcher named John Bateman. A lot of times with catchers, we don't know the whole story because we need to know if they can hold runners on base or not. And here's John Bateman with an Expo hat on. Went to the expansion Expos in '69. And his 70 card with 15 home runs is up. And he doesn't have a year quite that good, but he has one that's pretty similar. And it was with the Expos, and it's 500 plate appearances. Let's pencil him as a keeper for now, because again, he's a catcher. You're not going to get a lot out of the catching position anyway, and chances are he might have a decent throwing arm. Next guy, Ron Brand. And you want to get 4 keepers if you can. Ron Brand, also with an Astro hat, and also was an Expo. In '69. Interesting migration from Houston to the Expos for both those guys. So, in '71, he is still an Expo at age 31, but I don't think they would have made this card with just 61 plate appearances. And even if they did, it isn't good. Below 500 OPS, I don't care how good a defense you are, you're not in the league. Ron Brand will be retired. Column 3, $1. Next guy, we really enjoyed this 1970 card of Mac the Knife Jones. Mac Jones 70 card was a lot of fun, but I think that would be his last productive year. Yeah, same thing. 856 OPS after an 867. What a nice, 7 straight years with the Milwaukee and Atlanta Braves, the Reds in there somewhere in the Expos. Fun little career there for Mac Jones, and he was out of the game by 32. It didn't work out for him in 1971. That's a shame. That's a real shame. Mac Jones will be retired. All right, the Big Orange. This is where the Expos phone will ring from the New York Mets, but it's up to the Expos to say no. We love our Rusty. We like that Mets hat, but there's an Expo hat. And the Expos love their L'Orange Grand in Montreal. He doesn't actually go to the Mets until '72. Next year is '71 to '74, and look there, he is an all-star for the Expos next year. They're not going to trade an all-star. So they're keeping Staub. But if the Mets come calling, they would have to break the bank to land Rusty Staub. And we'll see if the Mets decide to break the bank. They did it this year for Willie Mays. It worked out, but they don't have the capital to keep making off-season acquisitions like that. They may just have to wait until Staub is a Met in the traditional way. All right, next guy, Bobby Wine. How much wine is there in baseball? Robbie and Bobby. Robbie Wine. Interesting. Let me look at this guy. Look at this guy. Son of Bobby Wine. There you go. You see that? Things, little known facts. So he was a catcher for the 86 and 87 Astros. Got a cup of coffee. And there's that little bit extra. That's what we do here at the Carryover League. We give you a little bit of extra baseball fun to ponder. Bobby Wine and his son, Robbie. So, Bobby Wine, slick fielding shortstop, was a SPO in '69 and '70. He wraps up his career there. Has one more year of hopefully he's good defensively in '71. His card will be made. So for the moment, we're going to keep him. But I'm also going to perhaps put him on waivers because he hit 200. So I don't know. If he's a 2 shortstop, I'll keep him. But it might not be worth the trouble if he's just a liability at the plate. All right, couple pitchers. John Morris, who was a Milwaukee Brewer. Actually, he was a Seattle Pilot. Was he not? No, he was a Brewer in '70. Here he is. And actually, he was He was a Seattle Pilot in '69 and then a Brewer in '70. And the Expos somehow ended up with him. '71, a similar year. And after that, he doesn't pitch enough. You see these innings pitched? Is there a '71 card for John Morris? Let's go find that. Answer that question. We're going to go to Super D's site, and we're going to go to the '71 set. And he would be pitching still for Milwaukee, I'm guessing, right? Did they make a '71 Milwaukee Brewer card for John Morris? And the answer is yes, right there. So he would be a good keeper as a left-handed pitcher with a decent ERA, because lefties are hard to come by. So right now, I would take John Morris over. I would take Bailey and Staub and Morris, and then the choice of Wine or Bateman, whoever's better. Got one more guy to look at, and it's Fred Sherman. Fred Sherman was a Tiger. That was a nice pickup for this team. Fred, there he is with Tigers as a lefty. I think Detroit didn't need him that much because they had John Hiller. But boy, he would really be good on a World Series Tiger team. Now I think about how weak their bullpen is besides Hiller. So here's the path. Tiger, Houston, Montreal. He doesn't really go to the Montreals till the mid-'70s, but he's here now. And we just had this 3.23 ERA year. Plenty of baseball left for Fred Sherman. This is a sought-after dude right here. Tradable, definitely tradable. He would get a lot in the trade market as a quality left-handed setup guy. 20 saves, 71 from a left-handed pitcher. If you're going to keep Morris, let's consider for the moment keeping Sherman, but also trading him. So if we pause right there for the Expos, we see plenty of keeper opportunities. So this is really good news. You'll want to have more than less. By the time the draft begins next year, two of these guys will be gone or on waivers or traded. But it's probably going to be Bob Bailey coming along for the ride. Rusty Staub's going to come along for the ride. At least one of these left-handed relievers is going to come along for the ride. And depending on what they value more, a defensive shortstop or a defensive catcher with Bobby Wine or John Bateman. That's probably what's going to be helping the Expos next year. Okay, thanks for checking out this Eliminating the Expos video, and we'll see you next time.